Okay, we'll start. So last time we were looking at some important terms which describe the magnetic properties of material. Under this first term which we had seen was magnetizing field. We'll just revise this. The first term which we had seen was magnetizing field. So what was magnetizing field? So when a magnetic material is placed in a magnetic field, a magnetism is induced in that particular material. So the magnetic field that exists in that vacuum, okay, which induces the magnetism in that material is called as the magnetizing field. For example, if we have a toroidal, solenoid, okay, let's assume this is a toroidal solenoid carrying a current I. So if it is carrying a current of I and it has n number of turns per unit length, then the magnetic field which is set up in this toroidal solenoid is given by what? B naught is equal to mu naught into n into I, where mu naught is the permeability of free space, n is the number of turns per unit length, I is the current which is flowing through this toroidal solenoid. So this field which is generated, so if you put a soft iron core inside, so if this coil was wound over a soft iron core, what would happen? That soft iron core would magnetize. It will develop magnetic properties. Correct? No, it will start behaving like a magnet. Okay? So basically this field which is responsible for generating or inducing magnetism in the magnetic material is called as the magnetizing field. This was the first one. The second term which we saw was magnetic induction. Second term which we saw was magnetic induction. So one is this magnetizing field which is generated. So now supposing we again consider a toroidal solenoid, okay, and we will consider that this toroidal solenoid is wound over a magnetic material. Okay, it is wound over a magnetic material. So under the influence of this magnetizing field B naught, what would happen? Magnetic movements will be generated. Magnetic movements of the atomic current loop. There are electrons which are revolving, right? So due to this electrons revolving inside the material, magnetic movements will be generated which are going to align themselves in the direction of magnetic field or opposite to the direction of magnetic field. Okay, so they are going to align themselves in or opposite to the magnetizing field B naught, and this is going to give rise to a surface current. So if you remember, the name was magnetization surface current. Magnetization surface current, which was denoted by IM. Okay, so this current was generated, and due to this current, additional magnetic field is generated. This current, that is magnetization surface current, would in turn produce one more magnetic field, which is field due to magnetization, Bm, is given by mu naught into number of turns per unit length, okay, multiplied by the current which is generated which is generating this magnetic field, that is magnetization surface current. Why this magnetization surface currents are generated? Because there are magnetic movements which align themselves. Okay, why the magnetic movements are generated? Magnetic movements align themselves because of this magnetizing field. You are applying the magnetizing field. That is why the magnetic movements of atomic current loop, okay, of that particular magnetic material align themselves along the magnetizing field. Okay, and then there will be new magnetic field, that is Bm, which is generated over here, which is mu naught into N into Im. And what is magnetic induction? The total field now, B, which is equal to B naught plus Bm, is magnetic induction. Okay, so how do we define magnetic induction? The total magnetic field inside the magnetic material, which is the sum of external magnetizing field, that is B naught, and the additional magnetic field produced due to magnetization, that is Bm, of the material, is called as the magnetic induction B. Or magnetic induction, there is one more definition to it. Magnetic induction can be defined as the total number of magnetic field lines, okay, crossing per unit area normally through the material. The number of field lines which are crossing magnetic flux, okay, basically is magnetic induction. The SI unit of magnetic induction is nothing but Tesla. Okay, or Weber per meter square, okay, which is equivalent to Newton per meter per ampere or joules per ampere per meter square. This can also be used. So these are the SI units of magnetic induction. Now let us move on to the third property, third term, that is magnetizing field intensity. Okay, so magnetizing field, which we saw, the definition we already saw. Magnetizing field is the magnetic field which is responsible for magnetization, is magnetizing field. So now what is magnetizing field intensity? Basically it is how intense is your magnetizing field. Okay, so basically the ability of magnetizing field to magnetize a material medium is expressed as magnetizing field intensity. How much ability your magnetic field holds to magnetize a particular material. Okay, how much ability your magnetizing field holds to magnetize a particular material is magnetizing field intensity. What is the intensity of your magnetic field? Magnetizing field, okay, is magnetizing field intensity. So magnetizing field intensity is denoted by capital H. It is a vector quantity. Okay, so it is a vector quantity that is denoted by capital H and is called as the magnetizing field intensity, or it is simply called as magnetic intensity. Other name is magnetic intensity. It's the same thing. It's magnetic intensity. Okay, so how do we define magnetic intensity? So magnetic intensity, magnitude may be defined as this magnitude of magnetic field intensity is given by the number of ampere turns. What is ampere turns? N multiplied by I is called as the ampere turns. That is number of turns per unit length multiplied by the current flowing through the turns. The product is called as the ampere turn. This is a special term, ampere turns. Okay, it is the number of turns per unit length multiplied by the current flowing through those turns. That is N multiplied by I is called as the ampere turns. So this number of ampere turns flowing round the unit length of a solenoid required to produce the given magnetizing field is the magnitude of magnetizing field intensity. So your magnetizing field intensity H will be N multiplied by I per unit length. Okay, so I'll define it once more. I'll repeat myself once more. So the magnitude of magnetizing field intensity may be defined as the number of ampere turns, okay, flowing round the unit length taken per unit length, okay, of the solenoid which is required to produce the given magnetizing field. So obviously this magnetic field intensity would be required to produce the given magnetizing field. So that is going to be H is equal to N into I. That is the number of ampere turns per unit length, in a unit length. Okay. So if you take the formula for B naught, that is magnetizing field, is given by mu naught N into I. So N into I you can put as magnetizing field intensity. So here you get another expression, that is B naught is equal to H multiplied by mu naught, or mu naught multiplied by H. Okay, so from here you can also say that H is equal to B naught upon mu naught. So these are important formulae as far as our problems are concerned. Okay, so this is going to be mu naught N into I. Okay, this is how you arrive to this formula. The SI unit over here, the SI unit of H is given by ampere per meter, okay, which is equivalent to Newton per meter square per Tesla. You can also say this, okay, or in terms of joules, it is joules per meter per Weber. These are going to be the SI units of magnetizing field intensity. So in case you forget what is magnetizing field intensity while doing the problem, okay, at least from the given SI unit you should be able to make out what is given to you. Supposing they say magnetizing field intensity is this and the units are given. So in case you forget that H is the magnetizing field intensity, in that case looking at the SI unit you will have to make out that it is H, the given thing is H. Okay, or they might be using some other name, they might say magnetic intensity. So you need not be confused, look at the units and you will be able to make out what exactly is given to you. Okay, so this is the third important term, that is magnetizing field intensity. Okay, so the next topic we have, or the next term we have, the fourth term, is intensity of magnetization. Is intensity of magnetization. Okay, so now what is intensity of magnetization? Just now we saw magnetizing field intensity, that is ability of the field to magnetize a material, was magnetic field intensity. Now intensity of magnetization will be what? It will be ability of that material to get magnetized. See the difference. Magnetizing field intensity was what? It was ability of the magnetizing field to magnetize a magnetic material. Now we have intensity of magnetization, that is ability of the material to get magnetized. How well the material can get magnetized, that is intensity of magnetization. Okay, so when we obviously know when magnetic material is placed in a magnetizing field, it gets magnetized. That is what we know, correct? No? So what exactly is intensity of magnetization? The magnetic moment developed per unit volume. Obviously, what do you mean by material is getting magnetized? When we say that material is getting magnetized, the magnetic moments are generated inside that material. These magnetic moments are responsible for the surface magnetization currents, and surface magnetization currents produce its own magnetic field, that is magnetic field due to magnetization. That is what is our aim. That is when we say that the material is magnetized. Okay, so the ability of that material to get magnetized is intensity of magnetization, or we can also say that the amount of, or the magnetic moment developed, or the magnetic moment generated per unit volume, okay, will be defined as the intensity of magnetization. So if you have a material, you place it in the magnetizing field and the magnetic moments are generated inside it. So these magnetic moments which are generated per unit volume when the material is placed in a magnetizing field is called as intensity of magnetization, okay, which is denoted by capital M. Okay, it is denoted by capital M. Again, this is a vector quantity. So what will be the formula? The intensity of magnetization is given by the magnetic moment generated per unit volume inside a magnetic material which is placed in a magnetizing field. Okay, so now if we say that Im is the surface magnetization current, if Im is the surface magnetization current which is set up in a solenoid or a toroidal solenoid, let's say that A is the cross sectional area of that solenoid, okay, N is the number of turns per unit length, N is the number of turns per unit length of the solenoid. Okay, so in that case the volume will be what? If you consider the volume per unit length, it will be what? The cross sectional area multiplied by the length, that is going to be equal to the area. If I want to find out the magnetic moment, what will be the magnetic moment over here? The magnetic moment will be given by, the magnetic moment is N into I into A. So number of turns per unit length we have taken as N. I am just considering unit length. Okay, number of turns per unit length is N. The current flowing is Im. Okay, and the area of cross section is A. Okay, so this is going to be the movement. Okay, so intensity of magnetization over here is M upon V, right? So that is going to be N into Im into A upon this volume, which is equal to A into the length. Length we have taken as unit length. So multiplied by 1 will be A. So A and A will get cancelled. So intensity of magnetization will be N into Im. So if you consider the field which is generated due to magnetization, what was the formula? Mu naught into N into Im. So from here N into Im can be substituted as M into mu naught. Okay, because N into Im will be nothing but intensity of magnetization. So that is how you get Bm is equal to mu naught into M. Okay, so from here you can also say that M is equal to Bm upon mu naught. So this is another formula which you get from here. That is Bm is equal to mu naught into intensity of magnetization. That is magnetic field which is produced due to magnetization, is equal to mu naught times the intensity of magnetization. So as the total magnetic field or the magnetic induction B inside the magnetic material which we just now saw, okay, what is magnetic induction given by? B is equal to B naught plus Bm. That is the second term which we had seen. B is equal to the magnetizing field plus the magnetic field due to magnetization. B naught plus Bm. This is what we had seen. Okay. So if we substitute it now, what is B naught we got as? What is B naught we got at? B naught we got as mu naught into H. Correct. So if we substitute it over here, plus Bm we got as mu naught into M. So what do we get from here? B will be equal to mu naught, if you take out common, it is H plus M. This is going to be another formula which is very important. That is the total magnetic induction is given by mu naught times the sum of magnetizing field intensity and intensity of magnetization. So if you see from here, H and M are going to have the same units. It's quite obvious that H and M are going to have same units. We had discussed the SI unit of H, that is ampere per meter. Correct. Similarly, M is also going to have the same unit, that is ampere per meter. Okay. So H and M have same units. Both of them have same units. The next term is magnetic permeability. Okay, so permeability is basically the extent of that particular material to be penetrated, okay, or to be permeated. Okay, penetrated meaning the magnetic field is penetrating through that material, right? So it is extent to which the material can be penetrated. How much magnetic field can be penetrated through that particular material? That is the magnetic permeability of that material. Okay, so permeability is the, you can say, measure of the extent to which the material can be penetrated or permeated by the magnetic field. How much amount of magnetic field you can penetrate through that particular material. That is permeability, the magnetic permeability of that material. Okay, so magnetic permeability of the material by definition would be the ratio of magnetic induction to the magnetic intensity, okay, or the magnetic field intensity. So magnetic permeability, which is denoted by mu, okay, is given by the magnetic induction, that is B, total magnetic field, divided by the magnetic field intensity, that is H. This is the definition, that is the ratio of B to H is magnetic permeability. Okay, SI unit would be what? Magnetic field is given by Tesla and H is given by ampere per meter. So SI unit of magnetic permeability would be Tesla meter per ampere. This is going to be the SI unit of magnetic permeability. The next one we have, is relative permeability. So basically permeability of various magnetic substances can be compared with one another. Okay, so if you take two substances, for example, you take one material as your standard material, let's say soft iron, and if you take another material as vacuum, their magnetic permeability can be compared with each other, and the ratio of the two is going to give you the relative permeability, how one permeability is relative to other. Okay, that is relative permeability. So permeability of various magnetic substances can be compared with one another in terms of their relative permeability, which is denoted by mu r, relative permeability. Okay, so it is defined as the ratio of permeability of that particular medium that you are considering to the permeability of free space. So if you compare the permeability of that material with free space, mu naught, okay, that is going to be your relative permeability. That means you are comparing the permeability of a particular material with that of vacuum. Okay, so that is relative permeability. Okay, so for vacuum, as we know, for vacuum, the permeability, the relative permeability is 1. Okay, for air, it is given by 1.00000004. There are 6 zeros and 4. Okay, and for iron, if you consider iron, it goes beyond 1000. Permeability of iron goes beyond 1000. Okay, so that is relative permeability. That is the ratio of permeability of a medium, any medium you consider, with respect to or to the permeability of the free space. Take the ratio, you get relative permeability. One permeability relative to the other. Next term is magnetic susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility. So magnetic susceptibility is the measure of ability of substance to take up magnetization. Okay, how well a material is accepting the magnetization, that is susceptance, correct? No, it's similar to acceptance. How well your material is accepting the magnetization, that is susceptance. Okay, so magnetic susceptibility. So magnetic susceptibility is the measure of ability of a substance to take up the magnetization when it is placed in a magnetizing field. Okay, so by definition, magnetic susceptibility formula we have. So magnetic susceptibility is denoted by psi. This is a symbol for psi. Okay, M, that is magnetic susceptibility, is given by the ratio of intensity of magnetization, that is M, divided by the magnetizing field intensity, it is H. Okay, see, relative permeability, magnetic permeability was the magnetic induction upon magnetic field intensity, and magnetic susceptibility is intensity of magnetization, that is M, divided by magnetic field intensity, the ratio of magnetic intensity of magnetization to the magnetic field intensity is magnetic susceptibility. Okay, so if you see M and H both have the same units, so there won't be any unit for magnetic susceptibility. Okay, so magnetic susceptibility has no units. Okay, so do not confuse between the intensity of magnetization and magnetic susceptibility. So magnetic susceptibility is the ability with which your material is accepting the magnetization. Okay, and what is intensity of magnetization? Intensity of magnetization is how well your material is magnetized. Okay, like magnetic moment per unit volume is intensity of magnetization. Okay, how intense your magnetization is. Okay, number of magnetic moments per unit volume is the definition, and here magnetic susceptibility is the ability of substance to take up the magnetization, is magnetic susceptibility. Okay, and lastly we are going to see relation between magnetic permeability and magnetic susceptibility. Magnetic susceptibility. So we had seen that B is equal to mu naught H plus M, and if you see over here, I can say that B is equal to, from here B is equal to mu into H from magnetic permeability. Okay, so if I substitute it over here, okay, what do I get? Mu into H will be equal to mu naught into H plus M, correct? So if I take this H down on the other side, what would I get? So mu will be equal to mu naught, I'll keep as it is, and I'll divide this H to both the terms, so I'll get 1 plus M upon H. And what is M upon H? From here if you see, M upon H is nothing but magnetic susceptibility. So mu will be equal to mu naught into 1 plus psi M. Is going to be mu naught into 1 plus psi M. Okay, so I got a relation over here between magnetic permeability, that is mu, and magnetic susceptibility, that is psi M. So if I want to get it in terms of relative permeability, okay, so mu can be said as mu r into mu naught. So that is what I will put over here. So this is going to be mu r into mu naught is equal to mu naught into 1 plus psi M. So here if you see, mu naught and mu naught will get cancelled. Okay, and you can say that mu r is equal to 1 plus psi M. This can also be said over here. Okay, so these are again some of the important expressions. So depending upon what is given to you in the problem, you have to substitute, you have to use equation. What is more important over here is understanding the meaning of that particular term. What do you mean by magnetic permeability? What do you mean by magnetic susceptibility? What do you mean by relative permeability or magnetic induction or intensity of magnetizing field or intensity of magnetization? Okay, all these things need to be clear before going for the problems. Second thing, what is important over here are the expressions. You need to remember the expressions because you cannot derive them all the time. Okay, you cannot go on deriving them all the time, so better to remember these expressions, directly use the expressions depending upon what are the quantities which are given to you and what is being asked in the problem. Substitute. So if you remember in the hypothetical model where we were discussing about the magnetic dipole, the one having the pole strength qm and minus qm, we considered a magnetic dipole having pole strengths of qm and minus qm, which was separated by a distance of 2l, and then we said that the magnetic dipole moment was given by qm multiplied by 2l. This was the hypothetical model that we had discussed. So now supposing we have a bar magnet, and then we change the shape of these bar magnets. Okay, so this was for a simple bar magnet having a north pole and a south pole. So supposing if I cut this half like this, or if I cut this half like this, okay, what is going to happen to this magnetic dipole moment, or what is going to happen to this pole strength, that we are going to see now. Okay, so for a standard magnet, let me draw a standard magnet that is having a north pole and a south pole. So this is the magnet, which is having north pole and south pole. The distance between the poles is 2l. The pole strength is qm and minus qm, so I'll just put it as qm, equal and opposite. Effective length I have taken as 2l. So what is the magnetic moment over here? The magnetic moment is given by qm multiplied by 2l. This was the hypothetical model. Okay, if I consider the second case, if I just bisect this magnet like this horizontally, okay, so what do I get over here is, supposing I bisect it like this, half, I make it half. Okay, so I get two parts of this magnet. So one would be this part on top, one part would be down like this. Okay, so in this case, supposing I'm bisecting it along x dash. Okay, this is north south, this is north south. So in this case, what is going to happen is, these are going to be converted into two magnets, obviously, as we had seen the properties of magnet, but the pole strength will become half over here. So qm will become qm upon 2. The length is going to remain same. If you see, the length is still remaining 2l between the north pole and south pole. So individually if we want to find out the magnetic dipole moment of this magnet, let's put it as m1 now, because original we have taken as m. Okay, so I'm going to give you all the magnetic moments in terms of this m. So new magnetic moment, let's say m1, will be what? The pole strength is qm upon 2 multiplied by the length, that is 2l. So if you see that qm into 2l, this part is nothing but m, so I'll put it as m over here, divided by 2. So if you saw, the magnetic dipole moment became half when you chopped off, or when you cut the magnet along x-axis, x dash, when you bisected it along x-axis. The third case is, supposing you cut it like this, vertically. Okay, so supposing one piece becomes like this. This is your north south. You have cut it like this now along y dash. Okay, and this is another piece on the other side, which is north south again. Again, it is converted into two magnets, but in this case, when you are dividing it like this, the pole strength is going to remain same. Okay, this pole strength qm is going to remain same. The length in this case will become half. This will become L, this one will become L. So effective length is going to become L over here. So if you want to find out a magnetic moment M2, what would that be? It is going to be qm into L. So if I just want to convert it into M, if I want to write it in terms of M, what I will do is, I'll just multiply and divide by 2, so that 2L into qm becomes M divided by 2. This 2 will remain as it is. So again, in this case, what is going to happen? Let's say M3. Okay, sorry, M2. So what would happen in that case? Again, if you cut the magnet half along the y-axis, then what is going to happen to the magnetic moment? The magnetic dipole moment is going to again become half in this case. Okay, now supposing you cut it horizontally as well as vertically, you make 4 pieces of it. What is going to happen? Okay, the fourth case is something like this. So if you get 4 pieces of the magnets, 1, 2, equal pieces those are, okay, 3 and 4. So if you have chopped it like this, if you have chopped it this way also, that is along y, y dash, and x, x dash. This is your north, south, north, south, north, south, north, south. Okay, if something like this has happened, okay, so in this case what is going to happen? The pole strength would become half, because we had seen that when it is cut off like this, the pole strength becomes half, so qm upon 2, as well as the length is going to become half, so it is going to be L. Total was 2L, so 1/2 of it is going to become L. Okay, so what is going to be your M3 over here? M3 is going to be qm upon 2 into L. So if I again multiply it by 2 and divide by 2 to make it to M, so qm into 2L is going to be M divided by this 2 into 2 will be 4. So in this case, what is going to happen to the dipole moment? The dipole moment is going to become 1/4. It is going to be divided into the 4th part of original M. Okay, so this is the 4th situation. In the 5th case, supposing we are given a bar magnet, a normal bar magnet, having a length of 2L, there is a north and a south pole here, okay, and you bend it into a semicircle. And you bend it into a semicircle, okay. Let's say that the radius of this semicircle is r. Okay, so this is your north pole, this is your south pole, like a horseshoe magnet, okay, but a proper semicircle. Okay, so in this case the pole strength will remain qm. What would happen to the effective length? Now effective length is going to be the direct distance between the north pole and the south pole. So the effective length is going to be 2r, that is the diameter. Okay, so this 2r, or basically here we need to find out this r, because the effective distance is going to be 2r. Okay, effective distance is going to be over here 2r, but we need to understand what we need to find out r over here in terms of L. Okay, so how do we find it out? So if you see that the total length of 2L is divided into a semicircle, so perimeter will be pi into r, because the total perimeter of a circle is 2 pi r. So half of it is going to be pi into r. So from here r is going to be pi upon 2L upon pi. So r is going to be 2L upon pi. Okay, so what is going to be our M4 over here? It is going to be qm into 2r. Correct? This is going to be qm into 2 into r is 2L upon pi. So now if you see, qm into 2L can be substituted as m over here. So this is going to be m into this 2 upon pi. This is going to be your new magnetic dipole moment, M4, that is 2m upon pi is going to be your new magnetic dipole moment. The last one is a special case, 6th one. Supposing I have combination of 2 bar magnets. Okay, so supposing I have 2 dipoles, one is placed like this, another one is placed like this, and I mean both are placed at an angle. Okay, they are placed, let us say, at an angle of theta. Okay, they are placed at an angle of theta. Okay, so in this case let's not consider the pole strength or the distance between them, because they are, let's consider this one has a magnetic moment of m1 and this one has a magnetic moment of m2. Let's say both have different magnetic moments. And the resultant of these two magnetic moments, okay, because both are vectors, magnetic moments are vectors, so the resultant of the two magnetic moments will be given by simple vector addition. root of m1 square plus m2 square plus 2 m1 m2 cos of theta. Directly vector addition formula you have to use. Okay, that is going to give you the resultant of the two, which will be somewhere over here. Okay, so now if this resultant m is making an angle of alpha with the horizontal, okay, then what is the formula we know? Tan of alpha is equal to, again, the standard formula we are going to use, which we learned in 11th standard. Tan of alpha is given by m2 sine of theta upon m1 plus m2 cos of theta. Again, that is going to give you the direction of m over here. Is that okay? So this is the end of the theory part of this chapter for this academic year. The rest of the part is being reduced. In case the hysteresis is involved, we'll do the hysteresis part later on. Okay. In case it is included, we will do it later. So this is all about the theory part of this chapter. So we'll continue with the problems in the next class. So we'll stop here for today.